Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Arts Open House at Williams College. We're really glad that you could come tonight. My name is Barbara Robertson. I am an admission officer, Associate Director of Admission at Williams, and we have a great panel for you tonight. We have our accomplished professors, Sandra Burton, Zachary Wadsworth, and Amy Podmore, and two wonderful students as well, Kester Masson and Olivia Graceffa. And they're all eager to share with you about opportunities in the arts at Williams. So before we go any further, let's just take a minute for everybody to introduce yourselves. Why don't we kind of go in that order? Sandra, then Zach, then Amy.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Burton, Lip Family Director and Chair of Dance at Williams College, where I've been on the faculty since 1983.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zachary Wadsworth. I'm an associate professor in the music department at Williams, and I've been at Williams since 2015.
And hi, everyone. I'm Amy Podmore. I teach in the studio art department, teach drawing and sculpture, and I've been here for quite some time.
Hi, everyone. My name's Olivia. I am a junior at Williams, and tonight I'll be sharing a little bit about the experience of being a theater major at Williams.
And hello, my name is Kester Masson. I am a senior from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I am a studio art major.
Thank you, everybody. Kester and Olivia, I was going to introduce you too, I promise. I just, had my order there. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Before we start our presentation, I want you in the audience to know that we will have time at the end for your questions. So please use the Q&A button on your Zoom screen. Just drop your questions in there at any point during the presentation. They'll just come to the panelists, not to the other people, participating today, and we will get to those at the end. Also, we're recording this session tonight, so if you get the great urge to watch it again, or you want to send all your friends and family members, it should be on our website in about a week. Okay, so we are going to get started now with our presentation. Here we go. Is it showing everybody?
It's showing.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Then Sandra, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So I would like to offer that the experience in the performing arts and in the arts at Williams is both an individual and a community-centered one that invites students who participate in the arts to be challenged, to have opportunities that consist of lots of layers and ways of participating, not only on campus and in the classroom, but also in the broader environment and community. Then there's also the opportunity for growth and transformation, so that over the course of 4 years in any arts department, in any student group, there is an opportunity to develop new skills, to deepen an investigation of yourself, to broaden the network of human beings and organizations that you have a relationship to, and to leave at graduation a transformed human being who has a broader sense of possibilities. The slides that you see represent the home of the 62 Center and also performance that is in Chapin Hall and in the theaters. The dance studio is represented in that very beautiful skylit glass box. And the studio is also represented in the bottom slide of a dancer explaining a move that she wants students to do. Williams is also the home of lots of student singing groups, as well as independent performing arts in theater, dance, music, and art making. Next slide, please. So this slide represents the 62 Center for the Performing Arts, which opened in 2005, designed by Bill Ron with the able assistance of faculty, staff, and students. We welcome this building as an expression of inside outside. We told Bill Ron that we wanted a building that let light in, that allowed people who were passing by or walking through to experience the activity that was going on, and also for the dancers and the actors and the audience members to always remember the nestled feeling that we have in the Berkshires of mountains and sky that hold us every day. The seats that you see are from the 550-seat theater called the Main Stage. It's the largest one in the building, and the building has I'm speaking really fast, tick-tock, tick-tock. 3 theaters, the Main Stage, which you see, the Adams Memorial Theater, and the Center Stage, which is the smallest unit and experimental space in the building. Dance and theater both have designated theaters. However, we schedule across disciplines every year. A theater is designed, is assigned to whatever production will be supported best by it. Classrooms are programmed every day. Students work not only in designated spaces, but outside and in those beautifully lit open spaces that you see. Next slide, please. So Dance at Williams consists of classes in technique, history, and theory. We have guest artists every year. We have projects that involve collaborations across departments at the college, as well as with other cultural institutions such as Jacob's Pillow, the Williams College Museum of Art, the Clark Art Institute, and Mass MoCA. The students that you see on this slide belong to our performing ensembles: Kusika, the African Dance and Percussion Ensemble; Coda, the Contemporary Dance Ensemble; and Sankofa, the Step Team. On the next slide, you'll also see represented the Zambezi Marimba Band. Kusika and Zambezi are unique in that they are 2 student performing ensembles that are directed by faculty and supported by the music department, the Africana Studies department, and the dance department. Kusika is 36 years old, and Zambezi was formed in 1992. So you do the math on that one. They are both 2 of our older performing ensembles. Next slide, please. So theater at Williams, and I know that Olivia will go into more detail here. What these slides represent for us is an opportunity for you to see both the avant-garde nature of performances at Williams, as well as the craft that students and professionals who work with them in production and design bring to the stage at every level of performance. The middle slide, you'll see a genie, and you'll see a student working with production staff to erect a set. On the bottom slide, you see our design shop manager, Barbara Bell, and Samantha Patterson, explaining to students things about design that they need to consider in research, as well as ideas that they may be contemplating for production. One of the things that you'll learn if you come to Williams is that the staff and faculty work very closely with students when they are working on a production of their own, as well as in a collaborative way when they are part of a guest artist or faculty work. You'll see that the work that we represent here in these slides is also unique. You see movement, you see, I would say, design elements that might be surprising to you, and you'll also see music or hear music. A lot of the productions in the 62 Center, whether they're dance or theater, involve live music. Very much a part of our aesthetic at Williams. Next slide, please. I'm passing this on to my colleague in music, Zachary Wadsworth.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Yes, we in the music department, so many of our students are so active in theater and dance as well. And it's just one of the really special things about Williams and art, I should say. It's one of the really special things about Williams that students are so involved in so many different areas of the college. So yes, our music department at Williams is housed in two extremely different buildings, but they're connected to one another. The older of the two here is called Chapin Hall, and it's our large concert hall with very beautiful acoustics and architecture. In the basement of Chapin Hall, this building, there are 23 practice rooms where students can practice their instruments or singing at all hours of the day and night. In the next slide, you'll see that attached to Chapin Hall is our other space, the Bernard Music Center. It's a more modernist concrete and glass building that contains our classrooms, our offices, rehearsal spaces, a music computer lab, which you see down in the bottom right corner, and our recital hall, Brooks Rogers Recital Hall, which is the smaller of our performance spaces, which you see there on the top right. But I'm not here to talk about buildings. The more important thing, of course, is the people and the music making that happens in the department. Our music department at Williams is huge and vibrant, and it's full of activity in a really broad selection of musical styles. We have more than 50 faculty members, full and part-time, in our department, and 1 in 4 students at Williams participates in music lessons, a music class, or a music ensemble. That number may actually be higher because that doesn't include things like a cappella groups, student bands, singer-songwriters, all sorts of other kinds of music making on campus. One way that our music department is unique is that one-on-one music lessons at Williams are free. This isn't true at a lot of other colleges and universities. And we offer private lessons in a wide variety of areas. This includes jazz and classical singing, all orchestral instruments, percussion, African drumming, jazz drumming and saxophone, piano, harp, guitar, Indian instruments like the sitar and the tabla, and Chinese instruments like the erhu and the pipa. These lessons have been continuing throughout the pandemic, I should add, some in person and socially distanced and some online in our special streaming studio space. Students are really at the core of all of our music ensembles at Williams. The largest of our ensembles is the Berkshire Symphony, which is our full orchestra made up of students and faculty members. On the classical side, we also have the Chamber Orchestra of Williams, or COW. We have the brass ensemble, the wind ensemble, the percussion ensemble, and a new music ensemble. We also have 3 jazz ensembles, a Chinese music ensemble, an Indian music ensemble, a handbell choir, and, as Sandra already mentioned, the Zambezi Marimba Band. For singers, we have a concert choir, a chamber choir, opera workshop, and a gospel choir. You see photos of the chamber choir and gospel choir here on this slide. So some of these ensembles have been put on hiatus due to the pandemic, but many are continuing or are exploring online performance or asynchronous performance. We are also very actively a busy department full of lots of visiting concert performers. Lots of ensembles and soloists come to town to perform at Williams College in all of the arts, actually. And I haven't even mentioned classes yet, but of course we also offer a lot of classes in music history, music and society, music theory, music performance, ethnomusicology, music technology, and composition. Particularly engaged students can, of course, pursue majors in all of these arts areas. Finally, I'll just add that we at Williams are also situated in a very beautiful and artistically rich area of the world. And there's a lot of musical activity just a stone's throw away. In this picture, you see a student percussionist performing at the Clark Museum in Williamstown. There's also a lot of musical activity at Mass MoCA, the museum just one town over, and at Tanglewood, which is a little south of us in Williamstown. There's obviously more to say, but I'll stop there. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A, and I'll try to get to them at the end, or we will try to get to them at the end. But for now, I'll hand this off to Amy Podmore to talk about the art department at Williams.
Hi, everyone. There's a lot of information to pack in this short amount of time, but we're all doing our best. So the art department, I'm Amy Podmore, and I teach sculpture mainly, but I also teach drawing, tutorials, and currently I'm co-chairing the art department with Liz McGowan, who is an art historian. We are one department joined, art history and art studio. And I'm also teaching the senior seminar, which are those students in their last semester at Williams who are getting ready to exhibit at the Williams College Museum of Art. And Kester is one of them who you'll meet shortly. So the most wonderful thing I think about our department is that it's a very small department and it's made up of really dedicated artists. Everyone's a practicing artist and they're equally committed to their own work as well as teaching their students, and that goes for majors and non-majors and students at all levels. We kind of welcome everybody. We teach painting, drawing, printmaking, photography, video, documentary filmmaking, sculpture, drawing, and architecture. And then we also have classes that are called tutorials, and those classes are small and they're mixed all media. So you might have a student painting in there and a student making sculpture, and the classes are organized around a theme. So for instance, I taught an empowered object tutorial, but I might have a student making sculpture, painting, photography in there, but we're all looking at and thinking about objects and how they might relate to art making. In this image, you'll see a couple field trips. I think everyone in the art department really feels that it's very important for students to experience art firsthand, to see it and to feel its physical presence, and also to meet artists and hear from artists directly. There's not a lot of opportunity for that in the world. So whenever possible, when we have visiting artists, we try to combine them with studio visits for the students or to have conversations. You'll see here a student with his drawing, a field trip when we were meeting an artist over in front of the library who had installed an outdoor piece. There's a picture of a class that was collaboratively taught with Deb Brothers from the theater department, costume designer, and we did the performances at Mass MoCA. That's the bottom picture. Students, when they have two chances to get their own studio, and this bottom right-hand image is a senior in their studio working on their senior show. And you can move to the next slide. So there's the outside of the Spencer building, where it's a very beautiful facility, which has areas for all of those disciplines that I mentioned, but we really encourage a lot of interdisciplinary. So there's a lot of classes that bridge mediums and mix things up. There's a student gallery. You can see it in the middle top slide, and students can have their own shows there whenever they want. And then there's often class shows as well. We're so lucky to have Mass MoCA, the Clark, and WICMA, Williams College Museum of Art here. And students get a lot of chances to go to those places. They're very accessible. You can go to the next slide. So here's a couple more examples of students working. In the left and the top is architecture class with students building an arch. Here's a student being instructed and given some feedback on drawing, and one of our other current seniors, Nala Maku, doing an installation in the Wild Gallery. And down in the center, just to give an example, this was during the pandemic, and this was a sculpture class where the students designed socially distanced apparatus wearables. And they collaborated with a sound class from the music department, Brad Wells, where the students had sound components along with these wearable apparatuses and performed at the Clark. So there's things like that going on all the time. I think everyone in the art department really believes how art can make meaning in the world and encourages their students to do so. There's also, we also have a lucky thing in that we offer a book grant. So students can use the book grant to also purchase materials to work on their art projects. And happy to answer questions. Oh, WICMA, sorry. Not done yet. So as I said, we're art studio and art history. And really the heart between those two wings of the department is the Williams College Museum of Art. And there's lots of things that go on there and lots of chances to interface with the museum. You can see the center top image is a program called Walls, where students actually get to choose objects from the collection at the museum and live with them in their dorm and wake up to art every day each semester. And you can see in the bottom, it's very hard to look at this now. And I feel longing because this is our senior show, which Kester is about to have, but this was pre-pandemic. So this is a time of celebration where faculty and students and their friends come and see what the students have produced for their final show. Now I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, well, now we're going to actually hear from our students in a moment. So I'm going to take the slideshow away, and maybe Kester, you could jump in next following with the visual arts talk that Amy was starting there.
Yeah, this is really exciting. I'm really glad to be here and share a little bit about my Williams journey with all of you. Prior to coming to Williams, I really didn't know what I wanted to study. So I sort of just trusted in what I was, into beforehand. And a lot of that was about storytelling. So before I came to Williams, I was really active in dance. I was a part of a modern dance company at my school. And I was also really active in theater. So that was musical theater, that was like straight acting. I was just really into spaces that gave me the opportunity to share stories and to bring people together. And so when I got to Williams, although I didn't really know what I wanted to study academically, I put my trust in performance. And so I, took part in a lot of performances that were happening on campus, both in terms of theater and in terms of dance as well. And for about a semester, I was a part of Kusika with Sandra. And I was also really active in the classes and the theater classes at Williams as well. And I was really just looking to see how I could take all of my interests and turn them into this one thing. And that's how I found myself in art. And to me, art is really about imagination, and it's really about storytelling. And I think oftentimes when we think about art, we think about the medium first, right? Like, are you a painter, right? Do you do sculpture? But I like to think about the story first, the narrative first, and say, hey, I have this idea. There's a story that I'm trying to tell, and what mediums can I use, right? What objects and spaces can I activate to tell that story? And I've just been having fun doing that over the last couple of years. Given that I didn't really do studio art in high school, it was definitely a bit of a learning curve, like even understanding how do you speak about art? How do you critique art? How do you become comfortable discussing your work and other people's work in class? But I think over time, you learn to be confident in what you're showing. And I'm definitely now at the point where I'm really excited to get out into the world and exhibit. So I'm happy to answer some questions later on as well.
Thanks, Kester. Thank you so much. I think there'll be probably a lot of questions. Your journey has been long and varied and so interesting. Olivia, thank you also for being here. And if you could speak about the classes you've taken and your path at Williams in the arts, that would be great.
Definitely. Thank you, Barbara. So just to introduce myself again, my name is Olivia. I am a junior chemistry and theater double major. And as well as that, I'm also French concentrator and on the pre-med track. However, outside of the classroom, I'm a member of Cap and Bells, which is the oldest continuously running student-led theater group in the country. I'm also a part of several theater department productions every semester, and I'm a member of the Center Series Programming Committee. Looking a little bit outside of the theater department, though, I'm also a TA for the concert and chamber choirs, and I've been lucky enough to perform as Rosalinda in Die Fledermaus with the Williams Opera Workshop, which was a really, really fun experience. But just to give you a sense, it is really possible at Williams to explore multiple different fields and multiple different areas of study. But like most of you, if you're prospective students, when deciding on an undergraduate institution, I was weighing a lot of different pieces and I didn't know exactly what I wanted out of my undergraduate experience. Ultimately, I was accepted into the Boston Conservatory at Berklee School of Music, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted to pursue a conservatory program or whether I wanted a liberal arts education. Ultimately, as you can tell, I ended up at Williams, and I couldn't be more happy about that. Because at Williams, you really are able to pursue your art or your career passion at the same level as you are able to pursue your academics. So I'm fully able to be a theater and chem double major, no issues whatsoever, which I think is something really unique and special about Williams and the community that we have here. But because we don't have a theater professor on the panel this evening, I wanted to touch briefly on a couple of things that make the Williams Theater Department really unique. And the first thing I wanted to mention was Studio 62, which is an artist in residency program put on by the theater department in conjunction with the Williamstown Theater Festival. And so this is a program where 12 students are allowed to hone their skills in acting, design, dramaturgy, directing, or stage management. And through a 10-week paid program, they produce and design their own independent works and really get to craft their voice as a theater artist. But as I mentioned, this is a program in conjunction with the Williamstown Theater Festival, which is the only small town theater festival to have won a Tony. But don't let small town fool you, because the stars really do come out to Williamstown over the summer. In the past, we've had people like Bradley Cooper, Kerry Washington, Audra McDonald, a whole host of people will come out to perform at this festival. And as a member of Studio 62, you are on the company list and you have full access to the festival. So I think one of my favorite memories from my time with Studio 62 was watching Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Amanda Seyfried perform a Taylor Swift mashup in Goodrich, our local campus coffee bar. So that's something that's really fun, an example of awesome opportunities that are available for students. But another thing I wanted to touch on briefly, even though I know I'm going over time a little bit, is the Center Series Programming and the Green Room, which are opportunities that allow real working artists to come to campus and work and speak with students directly. So some of the people that we've invited to campus in the past include Anne Bogart and Ellen Lauren from the City Company, Stephen Sondheim, and Robert O'Hara, the director of Jeremy O. Harris's Slave Play. So we have some really interesting people coming in and out of campus. And if you're looking to make these connections and meet people who are working in the field, Williams is definitely a place where you can do that and where you will have full access to the industry as if you were in New York or LA or any other big city with a bustling arts scene. So that's the end of my spiel, but if you have more questions about theater at Williams, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chat, and don't be afraid to reach out.
Thank you, Olivia. Wow. You all out there have received a lot of information, a lot of different ideas. I hope you've really absorbed how sort of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary students are, art students, but really, you know, remember that a lot of the students who are also involved in the arts at Williams aren't majors, right? So students in general are really working together in so many different ways. You have sent in many questions, so we're gonna jump right onto those now. Here we go. There's a studio art question. So Amy, maybe you'll be able to grab this one, and Kester, maybe you'll have something to add. I don't know. And the question is, are there opportunities in the studio art program to have courses, experiences in the digital media field, including areas like animation or digital concept art? among the more traditional art techniques?
Yeah, so as I said, we are a small department of practicing artists, so we can only we all have our specialties. So we don't have somebody all the time dedicated specifically to animation, although we do have 2 people dedicated to film, and we do often have our students working in animation. We do right now have somebody teaching animation. We have the Arthur Levitt Artist in Residence who's here this semester teaching an animation class. But that is a temporary position. So we cover those things generally amongst ourselves, and digital media. And we have 2 students in the senior class doing digital drawing. But no, that is not, those fields are not like, we don't have full-time faculty currently in either of those positions, but we feel capable of covering it.
Kester, anything to add on that one? No pressure. You don't need to.
I mean, I think the great thing about Arts at Williams is, like I said before, but you can kind of do whatever you want. It's really up to your own imagination. And I think the professors in the department are really excited when students are sort of interpreting prompts and interpreting assignments like in whatever way they want to. It's really rooted in, you know, what's the concept, and after that you can kind of work in whatever medium you want. So if you feel like you've got things down in some other kind of medium and you want to, you know, do something with digital art, I think the professors here would definitely encourage you to do that.
All right, thank you, Kester. This is fun. We have so many different types of art represented in one panel that our questions are going to be like I don't know, ping pong balls or something. But here is one having to do with music. So it's, do you know if there's much of a culture around musicians getting together to jam or play gigs, any genre, but especially jazz? So Zach?
There is definitely a culture of student music making in a lot of genres, as you say. And kind of as I hinted at earlier, some of it takes place in the music department. Like we could, for example, or we do have small jazz groups that are organized through our chamber music program, where we assign a faculty member kind of mentor to work with a student group over the course of the semester to work up some music. But of course, there are lots of different expressions for just things like jam sessions or gigs. There's an organization called the Williams Musicians Association, which is student run. It's not affiliated with the music department at all. And they organize things like coffee houses, jam sessions, open mic nights. And so between the music department's activities and ensembles and independent student groups, we definitely offer opportunities at Williams for jamming in jazz and in other genres as well.
Thank you. I know I've heard a lot of good jazz in my days at Williams, you know, at the coffee house, at various events. So I know that it's certainly alive and well as I experience it. This is really fun. I can just like bounce around. Now we'll go to dance. The question here, I'm going to answer a little bit of it, and then I'm going to give it to Sandra, because it's a bit of an admission question too, which is my expertise, I suppose. But it's really a dance question that Sandra will be able to give more texture to. So the question is, what elements make up a dance portfolio, and how are they evaluated as part of the application? So this is jumping back, maybe the person asking that question was at our info session tonight, where I know that Jillian mentioned that if you want to, you can, as part of your application to Williams, you can submit a portfolio, and that goes for any type of art, including dance, but also music, visual arts, theater. So this question has to do with a dance question specifically. So I'll let Sandra speak in a moment about like what might make a strong portfolio, or one that she could actually, you know, work with. And I'm just going to quickly say how we use that. So basically, anybody can submit a portfolio to be reviewed as part of their application. And honestly, do it if you want to. If that's part of who you really are, then we want to see it, because that's what your application is all about, communicating to the admission team as much as you can about yourself. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be a major, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be a professional. but it means it's important to you. And if you do it and then you don't want to submit, that's totally fine too. Either way, you could major or not major. You know, there's no rules in that regard. But I will say what happens is you submit your portfolio, and then we send it to the department. So the dance department is evaluating a dance portfolio, the music, you know, etc. And so then we receive that information back. And honestly, when it's a very positive and excited review, that is a plus for your application. And when it's not, and I'm sorry to, you know, everybody can't get the top rating, and that's totally fine. But honestly, at that point, that's just a neutral thing for us. So it will never hurt you, you know. So if you don't get that top music review, that's okay. That just means that's not going to be the extra, you know, thing that we're looking at with you. So beyond that, Sandra, if you want to just quickly talk about, you know, what you're looking at in a portfolio, that would help the student. Thanks.
Those are words of wisdom from Barbara about the admissions process at Williams. So please take them to heart from all of us in the arts. So in dance, what we're looking for is a resume that tells us in a very concise way your experience, your dance education, your performance experience, what you consider your skills might be, okay, or definitely are. Usually we get strong dance resumes from people who've had a number of years in ballet. If that is not your chosen voice in dance, don't let that deter you. We look for a video of you either in practice clothes, whatever they might be for your genre. And I'm saying genres very strongly here because we are interested in people who come to college with lots of experiences. We look for people who have either ballet, African dance, tap, modern dance, any genre that you have studied will be of interest to us. We're looking for use of the body, facility with the body, confidence, musicality, the ability to interpret a physical idea, to show it to us even through this medium. That's really basically what we're looking for. We also at Williams take people into the dance department who are raw beginners. Why? Because when we have auditions, you show us what you're bringing and we train you. We offer you opportunity to study. And so most of the pictures from the ensembles that you saw, with the exception of people who were in that ballet slide, many of them came into school wanting to dance and saw this as an opportunity to hunker down and gain some skills. You heard Kester talk about coming to school with theater and dance experience and then merging into visual art. That is a completely wonderful Williams journey. Why? Because he's tapping into the soul of an artist. An artist has many voices often. And so he's finding, the school offered him a place to find that space within himself. Why? Because we're a small school and you have access to all of the people that you hear and see here on this screen and more. And so there's an opportunity to get to know people and to go deep.
Thanks, Sandra. So we have like a follow-up question there, which is about submitting musical compositions in an art supplement, in a portfolio. So that I know that, yes, you can, but Zach can say more than those 3 words. And as well as the person asking that question is interested also in what the study of composition is like in general at Williams.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one that excites me personally because I teach music composition at Williams. I'm one of 2 faculty members in the music department whose specialty is composition. Although we do have a few other people. We have a songwriting faculty member and a jazz composition faculty member as well. So yes, you can and you should, if you write music, submit a supplement with your musical compositions. and do include either scores or recordings, whichever you work in. If you work in a digital audio workstation medium, then send us your recordings only. But please do send a supplement if you're a composer. And the study of composition is very robust at Williams. We offer a 4-semester sequence in composition, composition 1, 2, 3, and 4, which students can take at any point during their time at Williams in conjunction with other music courses. And as part of that course, it's a course, although it's basically music lessons in a course. Every semester we bring up a different music ensemble or ensembles. This is in non-pandemic times, of course, from New York or over from Boston or from Albany or from any of the surrounding areas. And ensembles come in once a semester or more to read through student compositions, sometimes multiple a semester. So student composers at Williams have their works read by real working professional musicians, get recordings and things like that. So it's a very robust program, and certainly feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions about composition. My email is zw1@williams.edu.
Thank you, Zach. So, okay, here's another good question, and we only have, a few more minutes, so it'd be great if we get to them all. I don't know if we'll be able to, but this is somebody was paying attention either during the info session earlier this evening as part of the open house, or when Amy mentioned the idea of tutorials in the arts. And so it's a great question. Can you take a tutorial in the arts? So we all know the answer to that is yes, but maybe they're a little bit harder to picture this 2-person, 1-professor class in the arts. So I don't know how we'll do this quickly, but somehow if maybe, yeah, who wants, Sandra wants to start, and we'll just talk quickly about the different ways a tutorial can be taught in the arts.
Doing one now. Erica Dankmeyer and I are doing a joint tutorial with a junior and a senior in dance composition. Both students come from very different styles. Our role as faculty mentors is to put food on the table, to offer them opportunities to look at and discuss articles, films, videos, artists' work. We can't attend work together now, but we attend it online, and we talk about it. We give them composition assignments. They write each other critique letters, and we do the same. So yeah, the dance department's been very busy during COVID, not just with tutorials, but finding new ways to work.
And Amy, you mentioned, are the tutorials in the visual arts that, the same model of the 2 students and 1 professor? Are you doing any these days, or?
Yeah, it's 2 students and 1 professor, and in tutorials, generally this more emphasis is placed on the student playing a larger role in teaching each other. It's a more kind of equal footing amongst the 3 people, of course, with a lot of more expertise and knowledge behind them to share with the students, but it's a really great opportunity for students to kind of step up and take a larger role in critiquing one another. So it's usually 2 and 1, and then in studio, people kind of are a little bit flexible with how they decide to teach that. So each faculty member might have 3 or 4 meetings in the pairs, and then 1 meeting with everyone all together. So everyone gets to see each other's work and then go back to the tutorial model. But we do quite a bit of them, and they're very popular and they're really fun.
Zach, you want to throw a quick example of music in?
Sure. I mean, my composition courses involve weekly one-on-one meetings with students and peer review with groups of student composers. We also have tutorial courses in music history, and obviously also teach lessons, which, though they're not listed as tutorials, are another kind of one-on-one instruction. But the most traditional tutorials we offer in music history, definitely.
And Kester and Olivia, if you happen to have taken an arts tutorial and you want to throw something in about it, terrific. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah, definitely. So I took a theater tutorial not 2 semesters ago This was pre-pandemic times. So it was me and one other student and a professor. And it was actually an acting tutorial. So we would either be scene partner and scene partner or actor and director, and our roles would switch off every week and we'd be given different assignments. But I think that through this tutorial, not only did we get, you know, the traditional academic benefits from a tutorial of working through texts and, you know, gaining what you can from them, but also in the sense that you're developing this fantastic working relationship with, you know, one other peer, and you're, you know, learning each other's ins and outs and how to get the best performance out of one another. So you really can take a tutorial in anything. And I find that they're super rewarding and a lot of fun.
And I haven't actually taken a tutorial at Williams until this year. And I'm like in love with them. I don't know if part of it is that I'm a senior, but they just feel really, really natural, and they feel really easy. And I think that's because the expectation to do well and to make work is just there. And especially in terms of visual arts, I think part of it is, you know, you're doing research. Part of it is you're making the work itself. But then another really big important part is knowing how to talk about your work and to talk about other people's work. And I think that space, you know, just 2 students and 1 professor really like breeds that. And so I think I'm definitely graduating in 72 days with a lot of really great skill.
All right, thank you. Olivia, we're going to see if this is possible for you to do the 1-minute answer, because then we're going to really have to log off here. But we have a bunch of questions, and these two can sort of be merged a little bit. So the questions are there opportunities for theater students to direct? And maybe you could explain, I know there are, and if you could give a little sense of that, and then maybe just if you could name a few recent theater productions that have been performed at Williams, and maybe an example of one that was done in COVID too.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are absolutely opportunities to direct. Studio 62, which I mentioned, is a great one. If you choose to pursue a thesis, that is another awesome opportunity to direct. But throughout the semester, if you're just looking to work on a Cap and Bells or a theater department production, you can work as an assistant director to a visiting artist or as a director of your own production with Cap and Bells. So there are definitely plenty of opportunities to direct. In terms of productions that we've done with the department, right now we're working on a time capsule that will be open 20 years from now with the theater department. So it's sharing stories and narratives from the pandemic that will be looked on in 20 years, which I think is a really fascinating project to be working on, especially now. But in the past, we've done a variety of straight plays, musical theater, experimental theater, anything you can really think of the Williams community is invested and interested in doing and seeing. But definitely check out the Williams Theater website to get a better sense.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Our time is sort of up. I'm sorry to those of you whose questions we didn't get to, but for those of you who have more questions, there in about 10 minutes at 8:45 Eastern time, there will be another part of this open house that's a chat with 2 other students and one of my colleagues as well, who are there, and those students are also involved in the arts. So they can answer some of your questions and give you some different perspectives as well. Hopefully that'll be fun for you. I also want to say that we have 5 more open houses on different themes. I wish we could do all arts, but you know, we have to do other things sometimes too. So please come to as many of those as you'd like. Come to our info sessions, there are regular opportunities to chat with students outside of open houses as well. I think that's everything I need to tell you. If you want to go to the next session, I know it gets confusing for people, just go back to that web page that has all the sessions listed and the photos next to them. You just click on the photo and it will take you to the next session. So thank you, panelists, so much. Thank you, all of you out in Zoom land. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks. And you can check out Arts at Williams too.
And the 62 Center website has lots of great information.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.